Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be coloring my lock extensions, which I've had in for a little bit over 7 to 8 months now, and I'm going to be doing my birthday style for my 30th birthday, and I'm going to be showing you guys the pictures that I achieved after my hair was colored. So if you're interested in seeing how I got this cool blonde ombre for my birthday look, definitely stay tuned so you can see the end result in the process. To color my hair, I'll be using black gloves to protect my hand from the lightener, a black bowl to make sure that I can see that it's mixed nice and smooth, Blondor by Wella, and the Developer, I'm going to be using this by Wella as well, 40 volume. I will also need some foils to make sure that I protect my hair and it lifts to the perfect shade that I'm going to need. I will also have some clips handy to keep my hair out of the way, my frame art brush that's good for painting and saturation, my Redken brush as well, which is good for blending, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this later. Make sure that you are wearing clothes that you don't really care if it gets dirty, a towel of course to protect your skin, and we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have rubber bands handy, this is also going to help if your hair is rather long to help section. The first part is making sure that you section out your hair. Because of the length of my locks and the thickness of my hair, I will be sectioning the front from the back and starting in the front and working my way to the back. When planning out coloring my hair, I didn't really have a particular placement in mind. I knew that I wanted to have a few lighter pieces that go up higher to my root in the front, and I wanted to do somewhat of a transition down into like a nice brighter blonde. As you can see right now, I'm sectioning out pieces that I colored previously just to see if I was going to like the shade that I was going to go to. And you want to start with a small amount of sections or locks to begin with, so that way you're not getting too messy, they're not going everywhere, and you're able to properly saturate. For the next few clips, you will see me continue to section. It is very important that you mix your lightener after your sections are done, so that way your lightener isn't in your bowl dyeing and it has its full strength when it's time to apply. So the technique that I decided to use is by taking 3 locks at a time, so that way I'm able to see how I'm saturating. I like to start closer to my ends, so that way I can make sure that those get saturated, due to me wanting to see a little bit of a lighter effect at the ends. Once you get that saturation going, I never just want a heavy amount of product just sitting there. As I go, I'm going to kind of feather it with my painting brush, and then in the next clip, you'll see me use my Redken brush to blend up a little bit, so that way it's not a harsh line. Because I am doing this myself, the product is pretty close to my eyes, so you'll see me close my eyes quite a bit. You want to be careful not to get lightener in your eye. It will irritate, it can burn, so if you can put on some protective glasses, that would be great. But for now, I'm just going to keep going, and you're going to see how I work through my entire head. With my Redken brush and a little bit of product on it, you're going to see me take this brush and blend up just a little bit. The less amount of product you have on the hair, the less light it will get. So this is going to be more of my deeper shade going into that lighter shade. So I fully saturate at the ends, and I just feather up and blend as light as possible, going towards my roots. To close off these 3 pieces, I'm going to put a foil over it, and as I'm working, I'm going to just protect each cluster with a piece of foil and be able to come back before I get to the other side of my head to check to see the lightness. Little hot tip, before you pull the next 3 pieces of locks, make sure that you wipe your hands off of any extra lightener, so that way when you're pulling hair that hasn't been lightened yet, you don't get any random pieces of blondness. It doesn't make sense. little disclaimer, you do want to make sure that you have plenty of lightener to be able to remix. I used a total of 8 bowls to color my hair entirely, and my ounces that I mixed by was 1 scoop of lightener to 1 ounce of developer. And if you feel as though your formula or your mixture is a little bit too thick, go ahead and work in a little bit more developer to loosen it up to be able to spread.
It's not a game, it's a Redken.
Here's an up-close look of what it looks like. I try hard to color the surface versus trying to squeeze the lightener into the actual lock, because later on when I rinse, I don't want to have so much lightener inside my lock that it's hard to rinse completely. So here you see the front is complete. I'm gonna come back a little bit later and just do like a little touch up as I have a few pieces around my face that I wanna bring up the lightener. But I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like so far. So this is the lightness that I got to. This was possibly after 10 to 15 minutes of it sitting, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So all I'm gonna do is take that Redken brush, that's my blending brush, take a little bit more lightener up just a little bit so I can have a medium shade that goes into that lighter shade towards the end. Since I see that that shade is where I want it to be, I'm not going to put it back into a foil. I'm just going to let it process in the air, and that way I can make sure it doesn't get much lighter than where I want it to be. Here you're going to see me take out the rest of the foils in the front and continue to do the same step that I did for the first piece that I took out. So if you can see, there's like a little bit of a separation of those colors. So again, just taking some fresh product, feathering it up so that way I don't just have a 2-tone, but I have a 3-tone that's going to blend like a nice ombre. And my hair sat in these foils for a total of 20 to 25 minutes in the front, and I let them kind of air and let air process for the rest. And the lightener somewhat dries out so it doesn't continue to process like it would if it was in the foil. Before I do make my way to the back, as you can see, I'm just going to continue the same step that I did in the front with the rest of the front pieces, making sure to blend it very nicely before I do move to the back, taking out all the foils so they're not processing super fast, and now they're just starting to dry out a little bit. And then we're going to hop into the back. I will not lie to you guys, my arms were on fire by the time I got to the back from holding my arms up so high. As you can see, I'm going to speed this clip up. I'm just saturating my ends for the back because my top layer of my hair is going to overlay over the back. So you're not going to see as much of the detail as I did in the front. But it's very important to still saturate and continue that blend method so that way if they are ever separate or you have an updo, it still looks very nice. But it took me half the time to do the back and just let it process, and then it was time for me to rinse. Alright you guys, so this is my hair fully rinsed. I didn't shampoo my roots just yet, but I wanted to take my time and rinse out the lightener as much as possible. I didn't decide to use a toner because I really like the warmth that my hair came out to. I would recommend rinsing no less than 10 minutes because you do want to make sure that you get all of that lightener out. It's not left in the hair. You want to rinse until the hair is nice and clear, and you also want the water to look clear as well. And now I'm going to shampoo my roots and then go ahead and start my retwist. I will be using 3 items to retwist my hair, and they will all be linked in the description box, so check it out. My favorite gel to retwist, and the color gray for my size for my rods. Before I get started, I try my hardest to get as much water out of the locks so that way it's not dripping while I'm retwisting. And I do this by just squeezing the towel and the hair within it. I try not to rough up my hair so that it doesn't create more frizz. And now I'm going to section so that way it makes retwisting my hair and styling with the perm rods a lot easier. Due to the length of my hair, I always like to use rubber bands to hold the hair out of the way so that way I am able to move quickly. I will be doing a half up, half down look, so I'm just sectioning out the hair that I know wants to go up into the ponytail and the bun on top, and what will be down in the back. Once that section in the top is good and ready to go, I will pin it up. Then I will start my retwist in the back, and I will come right back to you guys to show you how I retwist up close and personal in the front. It is very important to me to make sure that my roots are nice and smooth, so I take my barber's comb, which has a very skinny tip to it, and the teeth are very thin, so I'm able to grip and control the hair before I go to retwist it into my 2 strands. So for this style, I like to do 2 strands at the root, and then I just use my perm rods to wrap the hair around so that way it's secure at the root, but I'm still able to have twice as much volume in the hair. In addition to making sure that the hair is nice and smooth, I always like to make sure that my parts are nice and clean as well. I recently latch hooked my roots, so you'll see that I don't have a lot of turn at my roots, but within a few weeks I will have plenty to do another retwist, and everything will have a full twist and be nice and tight. Here you'll see me use my edge control to smooth down that front area so that way I can retwist this little area in the front. I always like to make sure that this area is nice and sleek. I cannot stand when the front is frizzy, especially when I'm trying to record a look or do pictures. I like for it to be nice and clean. To ensure your perm rod doesn't twist back around, I always make sure that I secure the rubber band across the end of my 2 strands so that way it doesn't twist and it's not spinning around.
It's not a game, it's a Redken.
Be sure to get those ends, so if you need to slightly tuck a little bit of your ends under your wrap as you twist up, this will ensure that your ends stay in and that when it dries, those are curled just as much. Now that the back is complete, I'm going to go ahead and work to the last section. I do the top section off camera so that way I can come back and show you guys the finished look. Here is my finished look with everything wrapped and everything ready to go. The last thing that I do before I sit underneath the dryer is just quickly smooth out my edges just a little bit. I am going to apply a black strip to the front of my head before I get underneath the dryer so that way my edges stay put and nothing frizzes back up. I had a lot of stuff to do this day, you guys, so I sat underneath the dryer for roughly 30 minutes and the rest I let dry overnight, and I'm going to come back to you guys with the next day look and the takedown. Okay, you guys, so as you see, my edges did revert back. I slept a little wild the first night, but now I'm just going to go ahead and take down these rods. I like to release the rubber band so that way the hair is able to just slide out. As you can see, I sometimes have to loosen the ends just to slide it out. You can pull it out or you can unravel like I do this one, but try to make sure that you're maintaining the shape. It is very, very important that the hair is completely dry all the way through. So if you do feel a little bit of coldness on the hair, definitely make sure that you pop back underneath the dryer and try to get that hair nice and dry before you finish taking out. There were a few locks in the back that were still wet, so I just rolled them back up on the rod and sat back underneath the dryer for a little bit longer. Now that all of the rods are out, I'm going to take my Yaya Oil by Dr. Locs. I'll link the place that you can pick this up at in the description box. But I go through, I oil my roots, make sure that it has like a nice shine, and just so that way I can moisturize the locks so that way they're not so frizzy and they don't look so dry. Now that everything is nice and dry, I'm going to take this time to style and place my curls where I want to see them. I'm loving the way that the color turned out, so I'm just going to stretch my hair and make sure that it's not too tight of a curl. Officially finished stretching and styling. I'm super happy with the color. I couldn't imagine my hair just being one solid color now. I do go back with some oil just to touch up my roots so that way it doesn't look super dry. Oftentimes I do suffer from psoriasis, so having a nice moisturized scalp can definitely make the style look much better when my scalp is going through flare-ups. The last little touch will be me wrapping a lock around my ponytail holder to disguise it. And after this, I'm going to go ahead and hop into my full makeup look. And in my next clip, you're going to be able to see my overall finished look and the pictures from my 30th birthday. Voila! Here is the final look, red lip and all. I cannot tell you guys how much in love I am with this final style. I did decide to put it in a top knot bun because the hair was just everywhere and I did like a sleeker look for my pictures. And here you guys go.